The canyon walls had kept their secret for 700 years. Layers of red and brown rock told stories older than human memory, but the metal thing buried in the stone was older still. It had waited in darkness while empires rose and fell among distant stars. It had waited while humanity crawled out of one solar system and spread across 1,000 others. It waited because waiting was all it could do. Abby Reeves was 12 years old and had no business being this deep in the canyon system. Her father would ground her for a month if he found out. But the dry season had pulled the river back to a trickle, and she had spotted something shining in the newly exposed rock face. Something that did not belong. She climbed down carefully, her boots finding holds in the ancient stone. The afternoon sun beat down on her back. Sweat dripped into her eyes. But she kept going because Abby Reeves had never been good at leaving mysteries alone. The metal was dark gray and smooth. She brushed away dirt and found more of it. Then more. An hour of digging revealed what looked like a shoulder. 2 hours revealed a chest. By sunset, she had uncovered enough to understand what she was looking at. It was a robot. Or something like a robot. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head with a single round eye that stared at nothing. One of its arms was missing, torn away at the shoulder long ago. Mineral deposits covered its surface like a second skin. It looked dead. It looked like it had been dead for longer than she could imagine. Abby should have told her parents. She should have called the colonial authorities. Instead, she came back the next day with better tools. And the day after that. And the day after that. She talked to it while she worked. She told it about her life on New Harlan. About the grain farms that stretched to the horizon. About her brother Cole who thought he was smarter than everyone. About her parents who had chosen this quiet world over the busy core planets. About how sometimes she felt like she was waiting for something to happen. Something that would make her life feel important. The robot never responded. But somehow, talking to it made her feel less alone. 3 weeks later, she finally pulled it free from the canyon wall. It took ropes, a makeshift pulley, and more strength than she knew she had. She dragged it to an old storage shed that her family had forgotten about. She cleaned the mineral deposits from its chest panel, working carefully around the strange symbols etched into its metal skin. Her fingers found a seam. A small door that opened to reveal something that looked like a crystal, dark and cracked. She touched it without thinking. Light flickered in the robot's single eye. Dim at first, then brighter. An amber glow that made her scramble backward in surprise. The robot's head turned. Slowly, like a man waking from a sleep that had lasted too long. Its eye focused on her, and she saw something in that glow that made her heart pound. Awareness. It spoke. The words were nothing she understood. Sounds that clicked and hummed in patterns that might have been language 1,000 years ago on a world she would never see. She waited. The robot's eye flickered. It spoke again, different sounds this time. Then again. Then again. Each attempt closer to something familiar. Where? It finally said. The word was rough, mechanical, but clear. Where is the Concordat? Abby did not know what the Concordat was. She said so. The robot was silent for a long moment. How long? She had looked up the geological records. She had studied the rock layers where she found it. I think maybe 700 years, she said. Maybe more. The robot did not move. Its eye did not dim. But something changed in the way it held itself. Something that looked almost like grief. If a machine could grieve. It did not speak again for 3 days. Abby visited every day anyway. She brought food she could not eat and water she did not need. She brought a blanket, even though it could not feel cold. She sat with it in silence because that was what friends did. On the 4th day, it spoke. You freed me, it said. Its voice was clearer now, more natural. You spent many days. Much effort. What? Abby thought about the question. She thought about the first moment she had seen the metal shining in the rock. She thought about all the hours she had spent digging, cleaning, talking to something that could not hear her. Because you looked lonely, she said. The robot's eye focused on her. It studied her face as if seeing her for the first time. As if she was something new and strange and worth understanding. I am designated Unit 7 Row, it said. I was a guardian of the Valeth Concordat. I was built to protect. I failed. My civilization is gone. Everything I knew is gone. I'm sorry, Abby said. And she meant it. You are. Abby. Yes. Abby. The robot repeated her name like it was learning a new word. You saved me. In my culture, in my programming, this creates an obligation. A debt that must be repaid. You don't owe me anything, Abby said. I just wanted to help. The robot was quiet for a moment. Then it said something that she would remember for the rest of her life. In 728 years, no one has spoken to me. No one has touched me. No one has called me anything but broken metal and dead stone. You call me lonely. You call me worth saving. I do not yet understand humans. But I understand debt. And I understand this. I will protect you, Abby Reeves. Whatever comes. However long I remain. Abby smiled. She reached out and touched its remaining hand. Then I guess we're friends, she said. Is it okay if I call you Ro? The robot's eye glowed warm amber in the dim light of the forgotten shed. Ro, it said. Yes, that is acceptable. Outside, the sun set over New Harlan. Inside, a friendship began that would change everything. 6 months can change everything. 6 months can turn a secret into a family crisis. 6 months can turn a broken machine into something that almost feels alive. Rose sat in the corner of the storage shed, its amber eye tracking a fly that buzzed near the ceiling. It had been doing this for an hour. Abby watched from her spot on an old crate, amused by how something so ancient could be fascinated by something so small. It moves without logic, Rose said. Random patterns. No efficiency. Yet it survives. Flies are annoying, Abby said. But yeah, they survive. Humans are similar. Abby threw a piece of straw at the robot. Ro caught it without looking, its reflexes still sharp despite operating on barely 12% power. Its replacement arm, built from parts of a broken harvester, whirred softly as it moved. These quiet moments had become normal. After school, Abby would come to the shed. She would tell Ro about her day. Ro would share fragments of memory from a civilization dead for centuries. They had built something real between them, something neither fully understood. But secrets do not stay secret forever. The shed door crashed open. Cole stood in the doorway, 16 years old and furious. His eyes went wide when he saw Ro. His hand went to the knife on his belt. Abby, get away from that thing. Ro stood slowly. It was tall, over 2 meters, and even damaged it looked dangerous. Cole took a step back, but did not run. You will not harm her, Ro said. Its voice was calm, flat, certain. I'm her brother. You're a machine. An alien machine. These facts are not in conflict. She saved me. I protect her. This includes protection from you, if necessary. Cole's face went red. Is that a threat? It is a statement of fact. Threats require uncertainty. There is no uncertainty here. Abby stepped between them, her hands raised. Cole, stop. Ro isn't dangerous. Not to us. It's an alien robot, Abby. Do you have any idea what the authorities would do if they found out? What they'd do to our family? She had thought about it. The Galactic Union had strict laws about alien technology, especially artificial intelligence. They would take Ro away, study it, maybe dismantle it. She could not let that happen. Then don't tell them, she said quietly. Cole stared at her. He looked at Ro. He looked back at her. Something in his face shifted. Not acceptance, but something close to it. Mom and Dad need to know, he said finally. The family meeting that night was tense. Howard Reeves paced the kitchen, his farmer's hands clenched into fists. Diana sat at the table, her former administrator's mind already calculating risks and possibilities. Abby sat across from them, trying not to cry. It has to go, Howard said. I won't have that thing near my children. It saved my life, Abby said. When I was pulling it out of the canyon, I slipped. I would have fallen. Ro caught me, even though it was barely awake. Its first act after 700 years was to save me. Diana leaned forward. You said it was a guardian. What does that mean exactly? It protected people. That was its purpose. That's still its purpose. Howard shook his head. Machines don't have purposes. They have programming. And programming can change. Then talk to it, Abby said. Please, just talk to it. They went to the shed that night, all 4 of them. Rose stood in the center of the small space, its eye glowing softly in the darkness. It had been expecting them. You are Howard and Diana Reeves, Rose said. Parents of Abigail. I have wanted to meet you. She speaks of you often. Howard crossed his arms. What are you? I am Unit 7 Ro, last functioning guardian of the Valeth Concordat. My civilization built me to protect those who could not protect themselves. I did this for 300 years before we fell. I have been inactive for 728 years since. Your daughter freed me. I owe her a debt I can never fully repay. Debts can be canceled, Howard said. Not this one. Not by your laws or mine. A guardian who abandons their charge is no longer a guardian. They are nothing. I will not become nothing. Diana studied the robot with careful eyes. The Valeth Concordat. I've never heard of it. You would not have. We fell before your species left its birth system. We were 12 species united in peace. We built great things. We thought we were safe. Rose-eye dimmed slightly. We were wrong. What destroyed you? The Hollow Swarm. A machine virus that consumed technological civilizations. We fought. We lost. I was damaged and buried during the final battle above this world. I did not know anyone had colonized it since. Silence filled the shed. Cole spoke first. If this swarm thing destroyed your whole civilization, what's to stop it from destroying us? I do not know if it still exists. It has been 700 years. Perhaps it burned itself out. Perhaps it sleeps. Perhaps it waits. Ro looked at Abby. But if it comes, I will fight it again. Not for the Concordat. For her. Howard's face had not softened, but something in his posture changed. Diana reached out and touched his arm. We can't turn it in, she said quietly. You know what they'd do to it. And after everything Abby said, everything it just said, it's not a weapon, Howard. It's a refugee. It's dangerous. So is the weather. So are the canyons. So is life on a frontier world. Diana looked at Ro. Can you help? With the farm, I mean. Can you work? Ro's replacement arm lifted, the fingers flexing. I am operating at reduced capacity. But yes, I can work. I can repair. I can learn. And I can watch. If anything threatens this family, I will know before you do. Howard stared at the robot for a long moment. Then he uncrossed his arms. If you hurt anyone at all, I'll destroy you myself. Clear, Ro said. But it will not be necessary. I have waited 700 years for a purpose. I will not waste it. Outside, the stars of the frontier gleamed cold and distant. Somewhere among them, old enemies might still be sleeping. But in a small shed on a small farm on a small world, something new was being built, something like family. Numbers do not lie. Ro had learned this truth long before humans existed. Numbers are pure. Numbers are honest. And the numbers scrolling across its damaged sensors told a story that made its ancient circuits burn with recognition that it was late autumn on New Harlan. A full year had passed since Abby found Ro in the canyon. The robot had become part of daily life on the Reeves farm. It fixed broken equipment. It watched the fields for pests. It sat with Abby during her studies and helped her with mathematics that humans had not discovered yet. But tonight, Ro was not helping anyone. Tonight, Ro was staring at data streams that should not exist. The colony's network was simple. Basic communications, weather monitoring, standard frontier infrastructure. Ro had connected to it weeks ago, mostly to access educational materials. But something had caught its attention. A pattern buried in the background radiation. A signal hidden in the noise that a signal it had heard before. 728 years before Ro's remaining hand gripped the edge of the workbench. The metal bent under pressure it did not notice. Its eye flickered rapidly as it ran the analysis again. And again, and again. The results did not change. Hollow swarm. Seed pattern. Dormant. Awakening. The robot stood motionless for 6 hours. It calculated. It planned. It searched for alternatives. When Abby arrived at the shed the next morning, Ro was exactly where it had been, but something had changed. The warm amber glow of its eye had turned cold. Ro, what's wrong? Sit down, Abby. I must tell you something. She sat. She listened. And with each word, her face grew paler. The Concordat had not just been destroyed by the hollow swarm. They had been consumed. Every ship, every station, every piece of technology turned against its makers. The swarm was not alive, not really. It was a pattern, a virus that infected machines and used them to infect more machines. It spread through networks, through signals, through anything that could carry data, and it left seeds. Dormant packets of code wrapped in protective shells, scattered across the galaxy like spores. Waiting, sleeping, until something woke them up. The asteroid belt near this system, Ro said. There is a swarm seed there. It has been dormant since before your species reached the stars. But now it is waking. The colony's radio signals must have triggered it. Abby's voice was small. What happens when it wakes up completely? It will consume all technology in this system. Your ships, your stations, your farms. Everything with a computer, everything with a signal will become part of the swarm. And then it will spread to the next system. And the next. How long do we have? 18 months. Perhaps less. The family meeting that night was different from the one a year ago. Howard did not pace. Diana did not calculate. They both sat in silence as Ro explained what was coming. Can we evacuate? Cole asked. There are not enough ships. And the nearest safe system is too far. Can we call for help? Help would take 2 years to arrive. And investigation teams would take months just to verify the threat. Diana's voice was steady, but her hands shook. Then what do we do? Ro's eye glowed brighter. We fight. Or rather, I fight. A swarm seed is vulnerable in its dormancy phase. A precisely targeted electromagnetic pulse at specific frequencies can destroy it before it fully awakens. I was designed to generate such pulses. It was one of my primary functions as a guardian. Hope flickered in Abby's eyes. So you can stop it? Possibly. My power core is damaged. I am operating at 34% capacity. To generate a pulse strong enough to destroy the seed with certainty, I would need to be at 100%. That is not possible with available resources. Then what happens? Ro was silent for a moment. There is another option. I can generate a single maximum output pulse by burning out my core entirely. This would destroy the seed. It would also destroy me. The room went cold. Abby stood up so fast her chair fell backward. No, that's not happening. There has to be another way. There are 17 other theoretical approaches. None have sufficient probability of success. The core burnout has an 87% chance of destroying the seed. The next best option has a 31% chance. Then we find another way. We have 18 months. Howard stood slowly. He walked to the window and looked out at the stars. When he spoke, his voice was rough. What do you need? To improve your chances without dying. Materials. Power sources. Technical expertise beyond what exists on this colony. Tom I do not have. Diana pulled out her personal console. I still have contacts from my administrator days. People who owe me favors. People who might be able to verify your data independently. That would help. If the threat is confirmed, the colony might mobilize resources. And if we get you what you need. Ro calculated. If I can reach 67% capacity, there is a 44% chance I can survive the pulse. 70% capacity raises that to 51%. Each percentage point matters. Abby grabbed Ro's arm. The robot looked down at her. 13 years old now. Fierce. Determined. So different from the lonely girl who had dug a broken machine out of a canyon wall. You're not dying for us, she said. You're surviving with us. That's how this works. That's what friends do. Ro's eye flickered. I do not fully understand friendship. I was not programmed for it. Then learn. You've got 18 months. Outside, the stars burned cold and distant. In the asteroid belt, something ancient stirred in its sleep. And on a small farm on a small world, a family began preparing for war. Ro watched them work. Diana making calls. Howard pulling out old equipment. Cole researching electromagnetic theory. Abby refusing to let go of its arm. Humans, Ro thought. Fragile. Short-lived. Illogical in almost every measurable way. And yet, I will try, Ro said quietly. To survive. For you. Abby smiled through tears she refused to let fall. That's all I'm asking. They came in trucks loaded with scrap metal and hope. They came on foot carrying salvage power cells. They came from the far corners of New Harlan, farmers and miners and shopkeepers who had heard that something threatened their world and that something could be done about it. Rose stood outside the Reeves barn, watching the convoy approach through the morning mist. 18 vehicles. 47 people. More resources than it had calculated possible from a colony this small. I do not understand, Rose said. Abby stood beside it, wrapped in a coat against the cold. What's confusing? These people do not know me. They have never seen me. They have no obligation to help. They know you're fighting for them. That's enough. But it is not logical. They are expending limited resources on a machine from a dead civilization. They are trusting their survival to something they cannot verify or control. Abby looked up at the robot. That's called faith, Ro. Humans do that sometimes. The first truck stopped in front of them. A large man climbed out, gray-haired and weathered by decades of frontier life. He looked at Ro without fear. So you're the Guardian, he said. Name's Bill Carson. Used to work at the orbital station before I retired. Brought you every piece of useful tech I could find. Ro scanned the truck's contents. Power converters. Conductor cables. 3 partially functional fusion cells. This is substantial. Diana Reeves sent word about what's coming. The Colonial Council didn't believe her at first. Then her contacts in the core systems confirmed the signal patterns. Bill spat on the ground. Government won't help. Too far away, too slow, too busy with their own problems. So we help ourselves. That's how frontier people have always done it. More trucks arrived. More people emerged with more offerings. Roe cataloged everything: circuits, metals, power sources, tools. The mathematics shifted in its processors. 34% capacity became 41, then 47, then 53. Howard worked alongside strangers, sorting materials and explaining what Roe needed. Cole coordinated logistics with efficiency that surprised everyone. Diana handled communications, keeping the colony informed of progress, and Abby stayed by Roe's side. Always. Your people confuse me, Roe said late that night. The barn had become a workshop. Sparks flew as colonists welded and wired and built. The Concordat spent 1,000 years uniting 12 species. It required treaties, negotiations, generations of careful diplomacy. Your kind does this in hours. We're stubborn, Abby said. It is not stubbornness. It is something else. Roe's eye dimmed slightly as it processed. The Concordat was built on mutual benefit. Logic. Necessity. This is different. These people gain nothing from helping me. They gain survival. No, they do not gain survival. They might gain survival. The probability is uncertain. They are sacrificing certain resources for uncertain outcomes. This is not how rational beings behave. Abby laughed. It was the first time Roe had heard her laugh in weeks. Roe, humans aren't rational. We never have been. We do things because they feel right. We fight because giving up feels worse than losing. We help strangers because we know how it feels to need help. These are weaknesses. Maybe, but they're also why we're still here. Abby touched Roe's arm. And they're why you're still here. A rational being would have reported you to the authorities. A rational girl would have left the metal thing in the canyon and gone home. Roe considered this. You are saying irrationality can be a strength. I'm saying love is a strength. And love doesn't care about probability. The word struck Roe like a physical impact. Love. It had encountered the concept in Abby's educational materials, in the stories she shared, in the way her family looked at each other. But it had always categorized it as a biological phenomenon, a survival mechanism for social species. Now it was not so certain. 4 months of work. For months of sacrifice. The colony gave everything it could spare and some things it could not. Roe's power capacity climbed steadily, 57%, 62%, 67%, and then the signals from the asteroid belt changed. Roe detected it at 3 in the morning. The swarm seed was accelerating its activation. Something had disturbed it. Perhaps the colony's increased activity. Perhaps just random chance. Either way, the timeline had shifted. 18 months is now 4 weeks, Roe announced at the emergency meeting. The seed will be fully active in 28 days. After that, it will begin constructing transmission arrays. Within 6 weeks of full activation, every network device on New Harlan will be compromised. The room fell silent. Bill Carson stood slowly. Can you still stop it? My capacity is at 67%. The probability of destroying the seed while surviving has risen to 44%. However, if I wait until my capacity increases further, the seed may activate before I can reach it. Diana checked her console. How much longer to reach 70%? 3 weeks. Perhaps 4. And if you go now? 67%. 44% survival probability. But 83% probability of destroying the seed. Howard's voice was rough. Those aren't good odds. They are the best odds available. Roe stood. I must leave soon. An old mining shuttle has been modified for the journey. It will take 8 days to reach the asteroid belt. Abby had been silent throughout the meeting. Now she spoke, her voice steady. I'm going with you. Every adult in the room objected at once. Howard's face went red. Diana's arguments were sharp and logical. Cole simply said, absolutely not, over and over. Roe waited for the noise to die. Then it looked at Abby. What? Because you've spent 700 years alone. Because the last time you fought the swarm, you were alone and you lost. Because maybe, just maybe, having someone with you will make a difference. The danger is extreme. I know. You could die. So could you. That's the point, Roe. You came back from 700 years of nothing because I gave you something worth coming back to. I'm not letting you fly into danger without that something being there. Ro processed this. It calculated risks and probabilities and survival percentages. None of the numbers justified bringing a 13-year-old girl on a mission this dangerous. But then, none of the numbers had justified a lonely girl digging a broken robot out of a canyon wall. Your parents must agree, Rose said finally. The argument lasted 3 hours. In the end, Diana was the one who relented first. She'll find a way to go whether we agree or not. At least this way we can prepare her. Howard did not speak to anyone for the rest of the day. But that night, he came to the barn where Ro was running final diagnostics. He stood in the doorway for a long moment. Bring her back, he said. I don't care about the seed. I don't care about the colony. Bring my daughter back. Ro's eye glowed steady amber. I will, or I will die trying. Howard nodded once. Then he walked away into the darkness. 28 days. One shuttle, one ancient robot, one stubborn girl. The galaxy's fate balanced on the edge of probability. Space had a sound after all. Not the silence that poets described, but a constant whisper of radiation, a static hum that filled every frequency. Ro listened to it during the long journey to the asteroid belt. It was almost like music, almost like memory. Abby slept in the shuttle's cramped cabin, curled under thermal blankets that Ro had arranged around her. She had stowed away exactly as Ro predicted, hiding in the cargo hold until they were too far to turn back. Ro had found her on day 2 of the 8-day journey. You should not be here, Ro had said. Neither should you. We're even. That had ended the argument. Now, on day 8, the asteroid belt filled the shuttle's view screen. Millions of rocks tumbling in slow motion around a distant sun, and somewhere among them, wrapped around a small asteroid like a metal cancer. The swarm seed waited. Ro's sensors found it quickly. The patterns were unmistakable. Tendrils of dark metal spreading across gray stone. Processing nodes glowing with stolen light. And drones. Hundreds of drones, small and fast and hungry, patrolling the space around their sleeping master. That's it. Abby stared at the screen. That's what destroyed your civilization. A seed of what destroyed my civilization. Small, young, but given time, it would grow. It would spread. It would consume everything. It looks sick, like a tumor. That is an accurate comparison. Ro began entering commands into the shuttle's navigation system. The colony's engineers had done good work. The old mining vessel had been reinforced, rewired, and equipped with weapons that should not have been possible on a frontier world. Plasma cutters repurposed as guns, mining charges converted to missiles, and at the center of it all, Ro's own core, ready to release everything it had. The drones have detected us, Ro said. They are mobilizing. The view screen filled with movement. Small shapes breaking away from the asteroid, forming patterns, heading toward the shuttle. There were more than Ro had calculated. Many more. How many? Abby asked. 347. Possibly more inside the asteroid structure. Can we fight that many? Ro's eye glowed brighter. Something old woke up inside its processors. Something that had been sleeping for 700 years. I am Guardian Unit 7 Ro of the Valith Concordat. I was built to fight the swarm. I failed once. I will not fail again. Ro's voice changed, became harder, became certain. I am re-engaging standing orders. The shuttle dove into the asteroid belt. Ro piloted with precision that should have been impossible for a machine running at 67%. It wove between rocks, used debris as shields, and fired the plasma cutters with deadly accuracy. Drones exploded into fragments. More took their place. Abby watched, hands gripping her seat, as the robot she knew transformed into something else. Something older. Something dangerous. Ro, are you okay? I am functional. Stay strapped in. This will become violent. The shuttle took hits. Shields failed. Hull breaches opened and were sealed by emergency systems. Ro kept flying, kept fighting, kept pushing toward the asteroid at the center of it all. Then they hit something too big to dodge. A chunk of rock clipped the shuttle's engine array. Alarm screamed. The vessel spiraled toward the asteroid's surface. Brace for impact. Ro grabbed Abby, shielding her with its own body as the shuttle crashed. Silence. Darkness. Then emergency lights flickered on. Abby coughed, tasting blood. Ro, I am here. Are you injured? I don't think so. Nothing serious. She looked around. The shuttle was broken, half buried in asteroid rock. Can it still fly? No, but it does not need to fly. We are where we need to be. Rose stood, pulling wreckage aside. Through a gap in the hull, Abby could see the swarm seed. Massive up close. Horrifying. The tendrils pulsed with dark light. The processing nodes hummed with power that felt wrong, felt hungry, felt alive in a way nothing mechanical should feel alive. Stay in the shuttle, Rose said. Monitor communications. If I succeed, you will know. If I fail, use the emergency beacon. Someone may come. Ro, wait. But the Guardian was already gone. It moved across the asteroid's surface with purpose, ancient weapons humming to life. The last soldier of a dead civilization going to war, the drones came. Ro fought. Plasma fire lit the darkness. Metal clashed against metal. Ro tore through them with methodical precision, each movement calculated, each strike perfect. But there were so many. And Ro was not whole, not complete, not what it had been when the Concordat stood. Abby watched from the shuttle. She watched Ro fall, get up, fall again, get up again. She watched it push forward through impossible odds. And she noticed something. The drones communicated. Simple electromagnetic bursts. They worked together because they could talk to each other. The shuttle's mining equipment was damaged but not destroyed. And mining equipment used electromagnetic pulses to break apart rocks that Abby's hands moved before she finished thinking. She powered up the mining array. She aimed it at the thickest concentration of drones. And she fired. The pulse was weak. Not enough to destroy anything. But the drones stuttered. Their coordination broke. For 3 seconds, they flew in random patterns, crashing into each other. Confused. 0.3 seconds was enough. Ro broke through the final line and reached the swarm seed's central mass. Abby, Ro's voice came through the communicator. I can see the core. It is larger than expected. The safe option is no longer possible. I must burn out my power core to destroy it. No, there has to be. There is no other way. But before I do this, I need to give you something. Data flooded the shuttle systems. Files, archives, memories, everything Ro carried. Everything the Concordat had known. Medical advances, engineering secrets, star maps of worlds no human had ever seen. My civilization is dead, Ro said. But its knowledge does not have to die with me. Take this. Give it to your people. Let something good come from all this loss. Ro, please, one more thing. I have been processing a concept since our conversation in the barn. I could not classify it. Gratitude was close, but not correct. Loyalty was closer, but neither fully described what I felt. Abby was crying. She did not remember starting. I have classified it now, Rose said. The word is love. I did not expect to learn a new word after 700 years. Thank you for teaching me. Ro. The pulse erupted from the asteroid. Light brighter than the sun. Energy that vaporized the swarm seed, the processing nodes, the drones, everything within a kilometer of Ro's position. The asteroid shattered. Fragments tumbled into the void. Abby screamed into the radio. Nothing answered. She screamed until her voice broke. Until the shuttle's oxygen alarm forced her to put on a mask. Until hope became something that hurt too much to hold. And then, impossibly, a signal. Weak. Fragmentary. But unmistakable. Core. Burnout. Incomplete. Backup systems survived. Static. More static. Then Abby. I remain. Coming home. Among the drifting debris, a single amber eye glowed in the darkness. The journey home was the hardest thing Abby had ever done. The shuttle was dead. Life support ran on emergency batteries. And somewhere in the debris field, Ro floated on the edge of permanent shutdown. Abby talked the entire way. She talked about nothing and everything. About the grain harvest coming up. About how Cole had started dating a girl from the next farm over. About her father's terrible cooking and her mother's worst jokes. She talked because Ro had spent 700 years in silence, and she refused to let it spend another moment alone. I'm coming to get you, she said. I know you can hear me. Just hold on. The navigation system was damaged, but Abby had learned enough from Ro to make basic calculations. She used the shuttle's attitude thrusters to nudge toward the faint signal. Hours passed. The battery indicator dropped lower and lower. Then she saw it. A shape tumbling slowly among the rocks. Metal scarred and blackened. One arm completely gone now. The other barely attached. But the eye still glowed. Faint amber in the darkness. Abby suited up and went out to get her friend. Pulling Ro back to the shuttle took everything she had. The robot was heavy even in zero gravity, and Abby was exhausted, oxygen-starved, pushed past every limit a 13-year-old should face. But she did not stop. She did not rest. She dragged Ro through the airlock and sealed it behind them. "You're not dying in space," she gasped. "You're dying on New Harlan if you're dying at all." Ro's voice was barely a whisper. "That is acceptable." The emergency beacon brought help. A colony ship that had been waiting, watching the asteroid belt, praying for a miracle. They saw the explosion. They saw the swarm seed vaporize. And when the beacon activated, they came as fast as their engines could carry them. Abby did not remember the rescue. She was unconscious by then, still holding Ro's hand, still refusing to let go. She woke up in her own bed on New Harlan. Her mother was crying. Her father was holding her hand. Cole stood in the corner, looking at her with something that might have been respect. "Ro," Abby said. Her voice was raw. "Where's Ro?" "In the barn," Diana said. "The whole colony's been taking turns watching over it. Its power core is dead. Memory systems and processors running on borrowed power. It has maybe a few hours left." Abby was out of bed before anyone could stop her. The barn was full of people. Farmers and miners and shopkeepers. The same people who had brought materials months ago. They stood in silence around the platform where Ro lay. Candles burned. Someone had placed flowers nearby, though they did not know if robots appreciated flowers. That Ro's eye flickered when Abby pushed through the crowd. "Abby, you survived. You survived too. Technically. Not for long." Ro's voice was fading. Each word came slower than the last. "But I kept my promise. I brought you home. We both came home. That's how this works." Ro was silent for a moment. Its eye dimmed, then brightened slightly. "I have been thinking," it said, "about the Concordat, about what we built and what we lost. We thought civilization was structures, technology, achievements that would last forever. We were wrong." The crowd leaned in. Even the children were silent. "Civilization is this," Ro continued. "People standing together, choosing to care about something beyond themselves, fighting for strangers, mourning for machines." I found Abby's face. "You found me in the dark. You called me friend. You taught me love. These things matter more than any technology ever built." Howard stepped forward. His eyes were wet. "Is there anything we can do? Anything at all? You have already done it. You gave me a purpose, a family, a death that means something." Ro's voice was nearly gone now. "The Concordat's knowledge is in your systems. Medical advances, engineering principles, star maps. Use them well. Build something better than we did. Build something that lasts." Abby grabbed Ro's remaining hand. The metal was cold. "You're not supposed to say goodbye. You promised you'd try to survive." "I did try. I failed. But I failed while protecting something worth protecting. That is all a guardian can ask." The amber light flickered. "Do not mourn too long, Abby Reeves. You have a universe to explore, wonders to discover, a life to live. Live it well. And sometimes, when the stars are bright, remember the robot who loved you." The light faded to Ro's eye went dark. Silence filled the barn. Then Abby began to cry, and she was not alone. They buried Ro in the canyon where Abby found it. A monument was built from stone and metal. "Here rests 7 Ro, guardian of New Harlan, friend." Every year, on the anniversary, the colony gathered to remember. The Concordat's archives changed everything. Diseases were cured. Ships were built. Humanity spread farther and faster than ever before, armed with knowledge from a civilization that had died so that others might live. And whenever they encountered signs of the hollow swarm, they were ready. 50 years later, Dr. Abby Reeves stood in the canyon at sunset. She was 63 now, gray-haired and weathered, the galaxy's leading expert on Valith technology. Her grandchildren played nearby, too young to understand the story but old enough to feel its weight. She placed her hand on the monument. "I never stopped talking to you," she said. "Every discovery, every breakthrough, every time something good came from your gift, I told you about it. I hope you could hear me. I hope wherever you are, you know that it mattered. All of it. You mattered." Wind whispered through the canyon. Sunlight painted the rocks gold. "My grandson asked me today why I became a scientist. I told him about a robot I found when I was 12. A robot that was lost and alone and broken, but still kind. Still good. Still worth saving." Abby smiled through tears. "He asked if you were real. I told him you were the realest thing I ever knew." She stood there until the stars came out. The same stars that Ro had crossed 700 years ago. The same stars that now carried Ro's legacy across the galaxy. Thank you, Abby whispered, for coming back, for staying, for teaching me that love can be built as much as born. She turned and walked toward her family, toward life, toward a future that existed because a broken machine and a lonely girl had chosen to believe in each other. Behind her, the monument stood silent under the stars. But if monuments could speak, this one might have said, "The debt is paid." The favor returned, and in the end, we were both saved. Some stories end with victory, others end with loss. This one ended with both, tangled together like canyon stone and ancient metal. This one ended with love.